Hello, everyone. It's Tuesday at 2 o'clock. That means it's time for a live session. I hope everyone is having a good week so far. I'm going to wait to have a few of you jump on. Today, I have a very special guest with me soon. It's Ashley from Women Crush Music. And I first found out about her and her mission a couple of years ago. And we have since become friends and colleagues. And I am loving what she is doing with Women Crush. And she and I will talk about that and the state of the music industry these days for women. It's a thing. And we will get into her mission and what she's been doing to help build a community during this weird time of isolation. So, of course, as always, this is a conversation, not a one-way talk at you. So would love to hear what you have to say, and would love for you to chime in and join as we move along with any kind of questions. Just put them in the comments and the notes, and I'm going to bring Ashley on right now. Are you here, Ashley?
That's not me.
That's you. Hello.
That's not me. Hi, how are you?
Very good. Are you in Miami today?
Yes. Technically a suburb of Miami, but yeah, let's go with that. There are palm trees across the street from me.
Okay. Can you tip your phone up? Your head is cut off.
Oh.
There she is, her whole head.
Awesome.
So I did a very, very brief intro that was not exactly an intro and more just you are coming on today with me. And I always think it's better when people introduce themselves because then they can talk about what they feel is important and I'm not reading a dry bio. So please let us know who you are and a little bit about Women Crush.
Yes. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Ariel, for having me on today. Super excited to chat with you. Always nice catching up, of course. So I am Ashley Kerpaban. I am the founder of Women Crush Music. Women Crush Music is a nonprofit organization that I started 3 years ago already. And up until COVID hit, we kind of spread our mission of creating opportunities for women songwriters through showcases, networking events, educational workshops. We hit across 16 North American cities in the last 3 years. Obviously, we've had to pivot like everyone else in these virtual times. And it required a lot of quick thinking on everyone's part. But yeah, right now we're doing weekly Instagram Live showcases. So every Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern, we have 4 performers on our Instagram. They play for 20 minutes. They are a diverse group in like sound, where they're from. We really try to make it interesting. We've been hosting kind of bi-weekly educational webinars. So we did sync licensing. We've got a nice partnership with Think Music now in LA. CD Baby and Sounddrop did our last one. We've got one coming up with Song Trust in next week already. So super excited for that. And we've also been really focused on growing our blog, The Crush, which is unfortunately something that got kind of pushed to the back burner when all the in-person stuff was happening, but now it's one of the most important tools that we're using in our programming to really be able to support our community.
It's never too late to blog. That's always my philosophy. I know a lot of people are a bit hesitant because unless you started years ago, it's hard to get your SEO going. But we are delighted. We partnered with Women Crush, and Cyber PR is actually doing a monthly series of listicles. We had our first blog post go live with you guys a couple of weeks ago, and it is 9 outlets that female and female identifying artists, musicians can look at if they're interested in submitting their music. So we have a really nice lineup of 9 diverse outlets that cover female musicians. If any of you are out there and want a little list of where you can send your music, check it out. So I wanted to talk about not only how you've had to, well, you've been forced to be nimble in your pivoting, but in why did you decide to create Women Crush? What was your desire to make this community?
Well, truthfully, Women Crush as a whole, the organization itself, started by accident. I never expected it to become as big as it became, especially so quickly. I started Women Crush Music when I had just moved to Portland, Oregon from New York. I didn't know anyone in the music scene. I actually only knew one person there, who was my cousin, who was definitely not in the music industry at all. And so I started going to a couple of open mics. Unfortunately, the one that I became really fond of and started making friends at closed after a couple of months of moving there. And so Portland has a lot of talent. Industry side of things, not so much. It's different now. That was also 5 years ago. It's a lot different now. But I didn't really know where to start networking, and so there was a music venue that wasn't far from my house that was looking for people to curate shows like once a month, and I was like, well, this is a great way for me to make friends here. You know, how I've always liked curating things. I've always liked connecting with people, connecting to people, so it just kind of seemed like a no-brainer to me that this was going to be the way that I met people in Portland. So I did that. I just started like going into the Portland Facebook groups of musicians and being like, hey, who's in Portland? Who wants to perform at this all-women showcase once a month? Within a couple of months, I was booking like 6 or 7 or 8 months out. Like Portland media started showing up, Portland promoters, booking agents, like managers, they all started showing up to these events. And I was just like, okay, I'm onto something here. But at that time, you know, I was getting what I originally wanted out of it, right, which was community, friends. But I also wanted to be able to provide more to these women that I was meeting, because I was so, like, I've lived in a lot of places by now, and I can say that Portland has probably the best female talent out of everywhere I've lived.
Wow. Okay.
Like, Still, some of my favorite artists are from Portland. So, I mean, I also haven't lived in Nashville or Denver, and I've seen some really great artists from there as well. But yeah, as far as where I've lived, definitely standouts there. But anyway, I really wanted to be able to help them in another way. And so I started reaching out to other networking groups for women musicians and women in business. And I was just kind of like, hey, like I started this thing. I don't really know where to go with it now. Can I have some advice on like how I can provide more resources or opportunities for these women in my local community? And instead of getting advice, I started getting a lot of, well, can you bring this to my city? Can you bring this to my city? We need this here. We need this here. And that's when I was just like, all right, well, okay, sure. I don't really know how, but at one point I was curating the showcases and like kind of running them from afar in like 4 different cities at the same time, just me. And at that point I was like, okay, I need help. So yeah, then within that first year we bumped up to 16 cities. And it was a very rapid organic growth. And it was honestly so powerful, and the community is so strong, and it still is. Sorry, I definitely rambled a lot. I'm not sure if that actually answered your question.
No, what you're talking about is building community. And it's funny because so many artists come to me, or people that have a deep desire to be in the music industry, and they're like, can I have a session with you where, you know, we talk about music career. I'm talking about now the people that want to work in the business as opposed to musicians. And I can't tell you how many people have come, sat on my couch and just complained. Like no one was coming to give them a job. Like, I want to be an A&R. I want to be, you know, I want to work at a record label. You know, they had all this desire. And then I go online and I can see nothing. And it's like, okay, you want to be an A&R? Curate a showcase, curate a music blog, curate a playlist, do anything that shows that you have a talent and propensity for that. And I can't tell you how many times I got stared at like I was a total maniac. And I can also speak from just when I started my company, which was then called Ariel Publicity. I built a website and started putting articles on it because I realized there was a need in the community. And so that's a fabulous way of getting anything off the ground. And I've seen so many artists and musicians, especially now that podcasting has had a resurgence, musicians creating podcasts, interviewing their friends, curating other artists. Of course, every city has a musician-led open mic night. But if you just look at that type of camaraderie and community building, it's a really beautiful way of spreading the love, putting yourself, like you said, like all of a sudden you had so many friends and so many opportunities because you took the initiative to put yourself in the game. Interestingly, not because you really wanted to like get into this business, but because you were just looking for a connection and community, which is the best and most organic way to start anything. Very cool.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, you kind of said it too. Oh, we have a visitor. My dog is here.
Oh, hello.
There's Henry. um, yeah, I mean, you said it too. Like, I feel like if you feel like there's a real need for something, like in your community or just in the industry, like chances are other people feel that way too.
Yeah.
So like that is your opportunity to not, you don't have to wait around for someone else to start it. And this is like my learning experience. I was nervous when I took on the expansion of so many cities, and I had good reason to be nervous because it was a lot, because I had no experience. I studied PR and marketing in school, which was great because that's why if you type in Woman Crush Music on Google, a lot of stuff comes up. Awesome. But any of the other stuff, I had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
You know, I didn't study business management or any kind of like hiring or volunteer management or nonprofit, anything, like nothing. But, you know, we're doing it, and I don't want to sound pretentious, but I think we're doing a pretty good job considering everything that's going on in the world and our resources and stuff like that. But a lot of that also has to do with like the passionate volunteers that actually 90% of it has to do with the passionate volunteers that help out, and the community that supports whatever direction that we decide to go in. And I think when you're starting something and you're like, yeah, I really want to start this community focused thing, if you're having trouble figuring out which way to go, ask your community.
Yeah.
It's a community focused organization. Don't know what to do? Ask your community what they need.
Right. Right. And I think for anyone that's listening to this and thinking, well, I don't have a community, 5 people can be a community. 3 people can be a community. It doesn't have to be, again, and I think I say this pretty much in some form or fashion every single time we go live, we have a distorted vision in today's social media driven world of what numbers are supposed to look like. 100,000 is not a normal number. That's a huge amount of people. So don't be so concerned about, I'm not touching tens of thousands of people. Be concerned of, you know, ask 3 or 4 or 5 people. And again, like you said, once you have an idea, it will catch on if there is a need in the marketplace. And I think you're right. If you need it, someone else needs it. And that's a truth. So talk to me a little bit about, okay, so you've moved obviously from physical events to digital events. You've got your showcasing happening. You've got educational side to the house where you're educating your community about things in the music industry. Is there a halo effect? Has there been a cool story or a cool something that's cropped up out of all of this that you were not expecting?
Yes. So one of the coolest, I guess, realizations that I thought I had a pretty good idea about who followed us and who wanted to be involved with us before, but the minute we put up the submission list for artists for virtual showcases, we really got to see and track who our target audience is, and the funny thing is that it's really a lot more diverse than I imagined. We have artists who literally just started their Instagram yesterday that might have a couple of hundred followers. And then we have artists with hundreds of thousands of followers, not just here in the US either. We've gotten submissions from Amsterdam and Argentina and other parts of Europe where I'm just I had no idea that people knew about us there. So it's been a really, really awesome experience to see actually the range of people that we're hitting with our mission, our programming, and it's been really awesome to see that.
That's something that I have heard. Matt, a couple of Fridays ago, had Lo Marie, who's one of our artists that we wrote a marketing plan for. She's from Madison, Wisconsin. She's a full-time working jazz and very multi-talented artist. But she was talking about, all of her income dried up pretty much overnight when COVID hit, because she played bars and restaurants and wine bars and had, local gigs. And that was how she produced an income. And she said the thing that was so great about going live was all of a sudden her international community of people that she maybe only got to see once a year when she would go tour was all of a sudden invited to come into her home once or twice a week when she was doing her live stream. So there is something very special about that. And she said, I never thought that all those people that I met in Spain, in France, in Germany on my European tour, now she gets to hang out with them. And that's something she didn't get a chance to do when she was in Madison, Wisconsin at the local. So it's a different community, but her tribe is getting stronger and stronger through her live streams. So it sounds like that same sort of halo effect has happened to Women Crush.
Yeah, and it's also it's nice for me personally too to be able to share it with more people. I have my mom's family is from Mexico, and every Thursday I get a few family members from Mexico chiming into the live stream, and I'm wow, this is really cool. I never really would have been able to share this experience with them before, and now they can really understand what it is I'm doing. And my parents chime in every week and are texting me throughout it. Oh, love her, going to buy her stuff now. It's been really nice to be able to connect with more people on that level, because we're doing everything virtually.
That's very cool. So do you have a long-term vision for Woman Crush? Have you begun to look, well, now that we're through this mad pivot of let's get the next few weeks, months figured out, have you come up with a larger mission or something that feels like it could be more long-term, or are you still sort of taking it 1 month at a time?
Is it fair to say both?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that the long-term plan for Woman Crush was always be able to, short-term and long-term, would always be able to create some kind of opportunities for these songwriters in our community. The reason it's different short-term and long-term is the kind of opportunities that we can provide. So for example, right now, unfortunately, all of our brand partners for this year backed out because of COVID. So we cannot really financially provide for anyone. However, long-term, we would love for that to be the case, right? Not only to be able to put these artists in front of their not usual audience and grow their following, but also be able to, provide them with gear and money and connections to people who can advance their career, right? Which is why having a partnership with a sync company is awesome, or like having connections with a touring agency who might be looking for artists, or indie labels who might be looking for artists. So we can kind of funnel our community into what they're looking for and provide those kinds of opportunities for artists. So really want Woman Crush to be kind of like a you join our community and you have access to all these people that you haven't had access to before. Whether it be through the showcases, or maybe these people are looking at our blog and will contact you from there, or you get to have an intimate conversation with them through one of our webinars. Like, that's what it looks like virtually. But long term, I really hope that like we can bring people on tour and provide them with opportunities to open for bigger artists or write for bigger artists if that's their goal. So that's really always been the long term vision. And I actually think that going virtual has helped us get closer to these kinds of partnerships with people who could help our community. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I think that's another thing that's, when you think about community, that's like an amazing, again, it's, I keep saying halo effect. It's another halo effect of like, oh, this resonated with this music supervisor. This resonated with this record label. This resonated with these people who are now actively part of this community. And for those artists out there that are always struggling and constantly like, how am I going to get a label? How am I going to get a deal? How am I going to get a publisher to listen to me? How am I? I think it's really cool if you just think, this is thinking in a micro way, right? All I have to do is join this community, contribute to it in some way, and this lovely, again, halo effect is of these people are here to support me. And you're attracting a really interesting community of people who are clearly interested in supporting women and furthering women in our industry, which I sit on the board of womeninmusic.org, which is another massive and very old community of women, and we're also global. We do different things than you, and there's plenty of room for all of these communities to thrive. What else are you up to that you'd like to share? And then if anyone has questions about how can you get involved with Women Crush, how can you get on a showcase, how can you get featured on their blog, feel free to pop your questions in here. And I have a question as well. Do you have any men in the community, or are you finding it's all women, or do you have some brave, strong men that are joining?
We do. We used to have a couple of men on the team, male allies, very important, very important. People always ask me, like, do you guys hate men? I'm like, no, no, that's not it at all. But we actually have had a few men hop into some of our webinars recently. Yeah, so it's been cool to like have some kind of like I don't want to say access to them, because I guess we've always had access to them, but like they are seeing more direct access to like the programming that we're putting on and seeing the importance of it.
Yeah.
And they've left really good feedback about like the webinars that we're putting on, and have actually like thanked us for like what we're doing for women in music. And they're like, yeah, we support women in music too. And I'm like, great. So yeah.
It's important. It's like you get to listen into what are the concerns of women. What are they talking about when they feel like they're the only people in a room? And the conversation is different when it's all women. And I think it's important for men to listen in. And as you said, allies are so key and important to have. And it's important to be listening to everyone right now. And if women are having a separate conversation, you want to ask yourself, what are they talking about, and how can you be a part of it and help? I love that.
Yeah.
So no questions are popping in, so we can carry right on chatting. I know that on your blog you are also featuring artists and showcasing their music and their art and releases that are coming up. Is it is there a certain criteria for being featured on the blog? How would an artist go about getting a little PR from you?
So a few things that we're trying to focus on right now. I mean, when COVID first hit, we really were looking and still are looking for artists who have stories of like how they are kind of like pivoting their release strategy to fit COVID. You know, obviously people can't have the standard release show at a venue right now. And who knows when that will ever like be really like normal. Maybe they've even gotten held back in recording and releasing because of COVID because they couldn't get back into the studio. So one artist that I can share as an example of like a cool, inspiring story, her name is Kingsley. She's actually from Portland, Oregon. She ran a Kickstarter a few months ago, fully funded her album. It's going to be called Crying on Holidays. And she got stuck. Yeah, she's great. But she got stuck with her recording, only had a few songs left, and obviously had to push everything, her show, her release, whatever it is. And instead of like making that like, you know, her like, well, I give up now, or well, I guess I'll wait till this is over. She, you know, called me up one day and she was like, hey, like I have this idea, tell me what you think. So instead of waiting till all the songs were fully produced to release them, she decided to make demo videos and perform them on her Instagram Live or through other venues, channels, and record them and send those out to her Kickstarter supporters and really engage her community and her fans that way. And I thought, what a cool idea. And then she took it a step further and she was like, you guys want in on the production? Why don't you listen to this demo and tell me how you think it should sound? Tell me how you think it should go. You've heard the you know, unreleased version, the stripped down version, like tell me what you think of this. And I think that's particularly cool because like you don't really get to hear what songs are like when artists write them most of the time.
Yeah.
You only get to hear the finished project. And so now her fans will be able to hear the original versions and then hear the released versions when they're done and compare the two. And who knows, maybe people might have favorites over the original or the released version that's produced. So I tell that story because like it's stories like that we really want to push on the Crush. Mm-hmm. You know, there's so much talent being submitted to us all the time, but if you have something like that you're taking a different approach to release music because, you know, you think it will be more engaging this way, or, you know, you're doing something for your community because you want to support this cause. Like we really want those kinds of stories on the blog right now.
I love that. So if anyone has a story, please reach out and let Ashley know. Of course, my phone is ringing so loudly right now, and it's not going to stop. So please.
Okay.
I just got a new mobile phone, and so all day long it just says spam risk, and it just ruined our lives. That's nice. Couple of comments are coming in. Amanda says, you'll be hearing from me soon. So it sounds like we have some musicians that are interested in getting in. Hi, Ron. Good to see you. What else would you like to talk about? What's up for you these days? Obviously, a lot with work. Is there anything else that's happening in and around the industry that's maybe not woman crush oriented that you want to chat
Well,
about?
you asked what else we might have coming up, and I wanted to tease one of the new programs that we are probably starting. So we have these showcases, we have these webinars, and pretty soon we're going to be partnering with some labels to have their established songwriters come and talk to our community. So I'm pretty excited about that. Our first partnership is actually going to be with Red Bull Records. We're going to have probably a few of their artists come and talk in like a panel style setting about, you know, their experience on, you know, having a label and how they got started, and their experiences co-writing as well, because a lot of their artists also co-write with other artists. So pretty excited about that. Timeline is definitely sometime in mid-July, likely. So, everyone make sure you're on the newsletter so you can find out about that.
Very cool.
But yeah, super excited about that. Aside from that, I think the question that a lot of my community, and I'm sure your community as well, is having, that maybe we can start a conversation about, is everyone's putting on these live streams. And I think in the beginning, when everyone thought, COVID was going to be over in like a month or two, that is fine. Like, everyone's doing them for free. But now, music venues in a lot of cities are going to be the last thing to really open again. Yeah. So the question is, how are artists actually going to make money? How can we monetize something that has been free up until now? Like, how can we encourage people to pay for that? Yeah. So I wanted to, start a conversation about it and see if you've heard of what artists are doing. I know like Instagram live shows are a huge thing, but Instagram doesn't really make it particularly easy to directly donate while still on the platform. Yep. It's like not really ideal to have to like leave the platform and go to someone's PayPal or Venmo or whatever it is. And I know I haven't actually watched anything on Stage It yet, but I've seen a lot of people hosting their shows on there. Yep. But yeah, I guess I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
So it's funny because I just, we do a series of marketing plans for our clients here called Total Tune-Ups, where we write plans for the next year of our artists' lives. And we used to have like just a few quick notes about live streaming. And now, of course, it's become a huge part of the strategy that everyone has to have. Here's the thing. When I wrote my crowdfunding book, there was a chapter called No Crowd, No Crowdfunding. With live streaming, it's the same. It's like no audience, no live stream. And so I think before you can ask yourself, how do we monetize live streaming? And of course, there are platforms like Stage It, and Bandzoogle is now allowing you to sell tickets to events, and Bands in Town has switched their platform so you can now promote your live streams. And there's Twitch has really gotten into the game to support musicians, and they've done a huge partnership with Bands in Town so that people can get on Twitch and start charging. It's a much easier platform. But you have to have fans, and you have to bring your fans to that party. And I think this is the same issue that anyone that's ever tried to book a tour has realized, like, oh, I have to have fans in those markets before I can just show up and play. And when I ran a booking agency for years, I was always shocked. Like, so many artists were trying to get me to book them. And I kept, I'd have to, if I was interested in a client, I'd have to ask, well, how many shows do you play? And how many cities can you support? And how many people can you bring? And that's real right now. So the good news is, if you could only bring in 5 or 6 or 7 people in each city of your choice, now on a live stream, you can bring 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 people. Now the question is, and the work is, you need to strategize how to get people to stop hanging out for free, and how do you get them to start paying? How do you, it's just like with Spotify, where everyone's like all you can eat music all day long, streaming. How can you then get someone to understand, like, okay, I get paid literally nothing when you stream my music? How do you get them to shift their mindset into wanting to pay you? And I think that's now the big question that a lot of artists with live streaming have. Yeah, it's all wonderful. There's tons of platforms where you can charge, but is your audience willing to pay? And I think, to lengthen the answer to this quandary, is like, A, you need to have control over that audience, right? What does your mailing list look like? How often are you sending it? How much do people trust you there? I read a newsletter from an artist that I deeply, deeply admire this morning. Her name is Amy Spees. And she wrote a really honest newsletter. And she was like, hello, I make my money on the road. My booking agency basically just told me, we're not going to be booking for another year. I need to begin to get nimble and think about how can I make money. And she has a baby at home, and she's really honest about it's real now. And I think part of why I love her and follow her and want to support her is she honestly tells the truth about what is happening to her. And I think there's a lot of posturing that goes on, especially on Instagram, where your life looks amazing no matter what you do. Filter, filter, filter. You have to be honest that you have to also get your fan base to understand that if they want you to continue making music, you need them to support you somehow financially, whether that's with a Kickstarter, a Patreon, a paid ticket to a live stream, whatever it is. You need to become creative and nimble in your own pivot right now. And what is it you can offer your community that you maybe haven't thought of? I interviewed Angela Beeching a couple of weeks ago, and she mentioned a lot of her clients are now moving to teaching lessons online. And that's maybe a possibility for you. Or perhaps, they're doing something else. Like Rich Aveo, who's coming on, he's been live streaming every single night since the pandemic hit. He's on 4 nights a week, and he's been offering VIP experiences. So yes, you can come and throw some tips in the jar every night, but he's upped the game for himself, where I could have him record a birthday song for you or an anniversary song for a friend, or, he's selling these like VIP experiences, and maybe that's a way that you can get creative. But it's Amanda saying right now, it's indeed how you optimize your brand awareness for monetization. And I think the most horrible part about the new music industry, and this was way before COVID hit, is free became the new normal. And all of us artists and creators and bloggers and writers and anyone that's a service provider kind of had to get used to the idea that what we used to get paid for was now being given and taken, first in a really shady way like Napster, and now in an open way like Spotify. And it sucks, but I think there is a way through, and the way through is be honest, train your audience, and figure out a plan. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't play once in a while for free, but it's like, how can you begin to shift the conversation for your fan base?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you about the honesty thing. So I do community building for startups and small businesses as my day job. That is what I do. And this is exactly what I tell them. It goes both ways, right? For artists, entrepreneurs, brands, startup, it doesn't matter what you are, you have to be genuine with your community. And I can give you an example of how that honesty and being vulnerable helps community build. The truth is, most people are very shy to express those emotions, especially during a time like this where things are rough, but I host these kind of weekly, bi-weekly talk circles for entrepreneurs through one of the communities that I'm directing. And the first few ones when COVID just started were rough because no one wanted to open up. And then I was like, you know what? I got to let it all out on the table or else no one's going to talk. And it worked. And now that they're there for that vulnerability, they're there for that experience of, they know that once a week or once every other week they can come to this circle and just let it all out. They're there for that, and they'll keep showing up for that. That's one of the reasons why they continue to pay for their membership for this community. And so I think the same kind of mindset goes for artists wanting to build their following or whatever it is. They just need to open up, just like Kingsley did when she was just like, screw it, I'm going to release my demos. I'm going to show everybody what I've been working on because I'm excited and I want them to be excited too. Same kind of thing. If you're worried about releasing tracks that haven't been produced yet, your fans might like that intimate experience,
Yeah. They will love it. And it's like what you said earlier at the top of this conversation is like, you recognize that the thing that you wanted was the thing that everybody wanted. The minute you can admit cop to something, things are hard, people will come back with an honest response. And I think that is one of the many silver linings I have seen around what's happening right now around this pandemic and around Black Lives Matter, is that more people are expressing in an honest way what's really going on for them, what's going on behind the scenes for them. And I think the more people can open up and do that honestly, the more we're going to see the change, A, culturally, that we deserve as a country, but B, any artist that's trying to survive a pandemic, the truth is, you're right, the genuine connection is what we're all starving for right now. I fully agree with that. And so the question then you have to ask yourself, like, are you willing to get uncomfortable? Are you willing to get honest? Are you willing to tell some truths that maybe felt slightly uncomfortable before? And I'm not saying you have to like go and like vomit out your whole soul. That's not always the best option, but you know, choose a lane. And is it possible that you can find something about your community that you can connect with? Amanda says, I would love to chat with you about pivoting your brand as an artist and business so that it's optimized for virtual. Exactly. I mean, that's what we're talking about right now. So yeah, I totally think that right now, more than ever, there is a chance for this connection to be fostered. Does anyone else, Neil says, I'm going to follow you, and I think it's interesting because I'm an artist and I like knowing what women want and need, and it will empower me to write more about you queens of our world. Yeah, listening into the girls, to the women. That's a good habit for sure.
Awesome.
So
yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
I was gonna say the other thing is that I think, you know, when you're thinking about your pivot strategy, that I think is helpful is just put yourself in your fans, followers, clients, users, whatever you want to call it, like shoes. Put yourself in their shoes. If I'm following somebody and I see that they're not engaging with me about like with total like, you know, being genuine or honest or about what they're up to, like chances are like I'm gonna lose interest a little bit. You know, like okay, I'm gonna give you a stupid example regarding a brand. So I used to be a very big fan of Lush, and I used to, which I'm not proud of anymore, by the way, but whatever, not putting them on the spot right now. Anyway, so I used to be a very big fan of them. I used to buy their stuff kind of religiously, and then the pandemic hit. I couldn't go to Lush anymore. I ran out of their products a month into quarantine. But I, for some reason, don't get their emails, or maybe they stopped sending them for a while. And I kind of lost that, like, oh, I need to go and buy right now, because other brands were engaging with me in a more personal way that made me feel special and valued as a customer. That made me want to continue engaging with them and support them versus a brand that wasn't really doing that. I was just another sale and another number to them.
Right.
So you're an artist, you kind of got to think like those brands, right? So I'm a fan of your music. Quarantine hits. I'm listening to your music, and I'm like following you to see what's up with her. You know, like, is she releasing new music soon? Is she doing a live stream? Is she, you know, is she hosting IG live things? Like what's up with her? And you're not doing anything. I might be like, well, maybe she stopped making music. Maybe she doesn't want to do this anymore, and
right.
I'm not gonna follow a dead account.
Right. Just like just like it's not too late to blog, it's not too late to start getting back with your community. Speaking of community, we are about to get cut off because our time is up. but
Oh.
I know, it went so fast. If anyone would like to know more about Women Crush Music, follow them on any social channel, womencrushmusic.com. Thank you so much, Ashley, for joining us. Please DM her if you have questions about how to get involved with the community. Please DM me if you would like to get into my free music publicity masterclass or get on my mailing list so you can find out about everything we've got going on. IG Live tomorrow with Kayla and Lorne Behrman, our rock star bio writer. Do not miss that. If you have no idea how to tweak or write your bio, that will be tomorrow at 5:30. Everybody have a great rest of
Awesome.
your day.
Thank you so much, Ariel.
Thanks.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.